Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, well, we are back again for yet another excellent episode of the Good Service Podcast. For those of you joining us for the first time, and may not know who I am, I'm Joseph Dunham. I am your host of the Good Service Podcast. Those of you that continue to come back, support us, love on us, share, like, subscribe, all of the things. Thank you for being a part of our family, our community, and our audience. We at the Good Service Podcast, we are your source for good news. We are your source for wholesome stories, inspiring stories, and just uplifting stories of the positive things that are happening in your community through nonprofits and other service-based organizations. Unfortunately, we're inundated with negativity across this world, across social media and all the things. So we are on our mission and on our crusade to bring you good news and good services that are happening to you, and for you. So in that, thank you all for joining us. I'm so ready to dive into who we have on the other side of the screen. And for those of you listening, the other side of the airwaves. But without further ado, let me dive into our guests and their intro. Our guest today is someone that we've been playing a little bit of, I want to say phone tag, I guess calendar tag. And we'll get into that in a minute. But she is, I used the word illustrious prior to when we were having a conversation, and I believe she is that. I know she is that. Through the research, she's more than that. She is a breast surgeon, an influencer, a philanthropist. She has her hands in some biotech as an innovator, and she is a child of God. Dr. Mo, affectionately known, or Dr. Monique Gary, affectionately known as Dr. Mo, serves as a chief medical officer at Bexa and Medical Director of the Grandview Health and Penn Cancer Network. She leads the breast cancer program there. She's not just a healer of the body, but also a tireless advocate addressing health disparities in marginalized communities. Dr. Mo's approach to wellness is holistic, recognizing the profound connection between mind, body, spirit, and healing. Her nonprofit, Still Rise Farms, a 40-acre farm in Pennsylvania, serves as a sanctuary for cancer patients in underserved communities. It is a living, learning laboratory where participants and patients engage in holistic practices such as mindfulness, body positivity, and the principles of food as medicine. We're going to dive into that. Through the farm, Dr. Mo integrates wellness and nature into cancer recovery, offering a unique approach to patient care that goes beyond the traditional medical setting. Dr. Mo's contributions extend beyond the operating room and also beyond Still Rise Farms. She's also a frequent speaker on health equity and wellness, providing leadership on the medical community and how they can better serve marginalized populations. She's also a co-host on The Doctor Is In, a web series on blackdoctor.org, where she offers practical advice and emotional support to breast cancer survivors. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Dr. Mo.
Wow. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for that. Boy, can you just follow me everywhere and do that introduction? Because that was hype, man.
Listen, you make it so easy. I mean, let's talk about you, sister. I'm going to give you your flowers through and through. So this is part one of giving Dr. Mo her flowers. Here you go. You do it all and then some.
Well, thank you. To whom much is given, much is required.
I know that's right. I know that is right. Well, seriously, thank you for being here. How are you feeling? What's going on? I always like to ask before I really dive in again and get to sharing some more stories.
That's fair. I feel well. I feel, you know what? I'll say I almost feel a little guilty that I am less affected by the outcome because I don't know when this will air, right? But we had an election and we just had it 2 days ago. And I'm choosing to focus on the good news and choosing to focus on positive things and setting my sights higher. So I'm
Yeah.
not tapped into sort of low vibrations and negative energy, and I'm not feeling those things. And a lot of people around me are, and I wonder why I'm not as affected. So I feel very curiously calm and still in my spirit about it. Um, no matter how things turned out and what we were all praying for, hoping for, voting for, and all folks, all walks of life appear where I live. So uh, I just feel resolved and calm
Yeah.
and just back on purpose. You know.
Ooh, back on purpose. You said some things there. I
Yeah.
liked a lot of what you said. The high vibrations, right? And you're not necessarily impacted by anything else going on and happening. So, I
And it's
mean,
not to say that I
we,
won't be, right? Because it's a stressful time for a lot of folks, and we're going to see what happens and how things unfold for our communities, and we're going to have to be there to pick up the pieces, And so I think I'm more in that preparedness, readiness mode. I'm always on go, so I'm like, all right, well, let's get ready. What do we need to do? Who we need to feed? How we need to make things happen as we have always done for our community. It's nothing new. We're not new to this. We true to this.
mm-hmm, listen, child of God, I feel the preaching coming on. I feel the preaching coming on. We
Oh,
serve one man. We serve one God. You know what I'm saying? The rest of this is temporary, right? So I feel you. I love the resolved, right? You
yeah,
feel resolved, just a sense of you're grounded. I
yeah,
can safely assume I probably know why, because I feel very similar as well. Probably why I've gotten a lot of phone calls and text messages since Tuesday
yeah,
is how do you feel? What do you think? So to whom much is given, much is look at us. It's full
right.
circle.
We
Um,
we are the ones, and when you look historically, like our ancestors have been through so much worse. We made it so much more resilient and tough stuff. So you know, keep
we'll
on
be all
moving.
right.
We will be.
We'll be all right.
Hmm.
Ooh. Well, everybody, let's talk about how I even got to get introduced to the illustrious Dr. Mo
Yeah.
herself. Uh, One thing I always like to do, Dr. Mo, in episodes and conversations is share like how we even know each other. This starts with Jerry Wells Jr. Sir, whenever this episode finds you, whenever you watch it, you hear it, my brother, thank you. So, the whole web of your network and 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Well, a great friend of mine who's very much so like an older brother. So I'm actually from Ohio, just a
Okay.
little east or a little west from where you're at in Pennsylvania.
Mhm. Hey, neighbor.
Um, hey. So Mike was at a real estate conference because he's big into real estate, all the things, and was having a conversation with Jerry. Jerry shared with, or Mike shared with Jerry. He said, "Hey, my little brother lives in Atlanta. He's very much in his entrepreneurial life and philanthropic life. He's in the church, in the community. These are the things he has going on. I think it makes sense for you to connect you. At the time, Jerry was actually, I'm pretty sure he's still through his real estate business, is kind of building in the Southeast. So we had a great conversation. And that led to us just saying, hey, who do you know? Who's in your network? How can I help you? And how can I get you in front of them and vice versa? He loved my background within the nonprofit space. We had a lot of parallels in what we've did in nonprofit, in the church, and ministry, and also our sales careers. So there's just a lot of just parallelisms there. And
Mhm.
you were the first person, Dr. Mo. He's like, I know somebody. She's doing like everything and then some in just her way, and it's going all the way. You gotta meet her. You gotta meet her. You gotta meet her. So he shared your Instagram. I followed you way back when, and then you know knew at some point we'd get the opportunity to actually have a conversation. Prayed
Yeah.
over it. Trend, your wonderful assistant, helped get everything set up multiple times because you're a very busy person. I am too, but we're
Yeah.
here now. So that's how we got together. So huge shout out and thank you to Jerry Wells Jr. Also, he just had a baby girl. Or wait,
Yes,
yeah,
he
no,
not
yeah, just had a
not
baby
yet.
girl.
Did they have a
Fa-
baby?
no, just found out it was going to be a baby.
Yes,
The
it's
baby is
going
a
to be a girl.
yes. So girl
Hmm.
dads, shout out to all the girl dads.
Shout out to the girl dads. Yeah.
God's
Wow.
greatest creation is woman. I said it. I always say it. My job is to protect and provide. So we'll do that one day. That's a conversation for a whole nother time, Dr. Mo. But
So sure.
that's how we are here. How do you know Jerry?
So I know Jerry because Jerry was my realtor. And I yeah, small world. I knew years ago that I was looking for a farm. I've been here for almost four, yeah, coming full circle, 4 years. And 2 years prior to that, I started looking for a place where I could answer some of the questions that my patients had about how to change their lives and do so more holistically. Well, what do I need to eat, and how do I, how is food medicine, and how can I fight cancer more naturally? And what do you think about
Yes.
that, doctor? Is there a way that that can happen? And I didn't know the answers to that. It wasn't something, even as an osteopath, which, we believe in osteopathic medicine, the mind, body, and spirit are connected. And so our medicine is tailored to even my surgery. I tell patients that I do, service by removing a tumor if we don't talk about the other cancers in your life, right? And let's start working on these things from a mind, body, spirit perspective. So I wanted to find a piece of land. I was looking for 2, maybe 5 acres, something like that. I think I looked even 10 acres. And I wasn't finding what I needed with the realtor that I had, and they were lovely folks, but I was also renting from them, so maybe the motivation wasn't quite as high to move out. But also, I think she thought that I was going to bite off more than I could chew because I'm a city girl.
Mm.
I got a brown thumb, like literally a brown thumb, and she was like, trying to, how well-meaning people try to steer you down a path. And this is
Yeah.
the theme of my life from the moment I was 6 years old. And I told people I want to be a surgeon. It's like, oh, well, you should be a teacher. Oh, well, you speak well. Why don't you be a this? Why don't you? And they kept
Uh huh.
putting all these other suggestions, unsolicited suggestions in the path. And so I was finding in my journey to do this that there were all these unsolicited suggestions and redirections. And I said, let me find me somebody who could sell me a farm, help me buy a farm, and help me to make this vision a reality, and tell me what I needed to look for as far as the land and the different zoning and other things that, so it would be fruitful and not someplace that was, laden with pesticides, or someplace that wouldn't be a productive property for me. And I
Right.
said, and I'll be candid with you. I asked my friends, I said, okay, anybody know any Black realtors? Because I would love to support Black. This is a big purchase for me. And, who knows somebody who sold farms and bought farms before, and my friend Kendall from high school, she said, I know a guy. She said, I know he used to be a realtor in Texas area. He's from Philly, Jersey, area. But let me see, because I think he's back in the area. And she said, Mo, this is Jerry. Jerry, this is Mo. And he said, well, yeah, I used to work with Chip and Joanna down in Texas, and we would, buy and sell farms all the time. He says, I haven't done it up here, but I think I can get you what you need. And I gave that brother a hard time. Let me tell you, he must have
You
taken
had
me around.
to.
Yeah, I did. And it wasn't because of my own desires. It was because of what God wanted for this place and for me. And my godmother, she was helping me with this, and she had been praying about it. And she said, this place that you're going to find is going to have a lot of these things, this, and this. So we would drive up to a place. She said, this isn't it. It's not the one. It's not what we prayed for. And Jerry would just look, and we would go to the next one. She said, well, this has this and it has that, but let me pray about it. Nope, this isn't it. And finally, when we got to this place, because Jerry said, look, we've been all up and down a bunch of different counties. There's this one farm that's not too far from your job. And he says, the price point's a little bit high or whatever, but, talk to the bank. He says, but just go look at it because it has a lot of what you say you want. And it's like 15 minutes from your job. Just go see. And I looked at the pictures. I was like, looks like this orange farm. I don't know about this one. I said, he said, just come see it. Just see it. And
Yeah.
we drove up. And as soon as we pulled down the driveway, my godmother said, this is it. And we got out, we walked around. It had the outbuildings, it had acreage, it had all of the things that we wanted to have here to begin doing this educational curriculum. Because it wasn't just a feel good moment to come out and stretch and do some yoga. It's like, how can we teach people what they need to survive? Like food sovereignty, food is medicine. How can we like make this real for not only cancer patients, but for everybody else who's wondering the same questions? And why
In
don't
the
my doctors
community.
talk to me about this stuff in the
Yeah.
community, right? We build and bridge that trust. So that's how I ended up here. And it's so Jerry had a lot of patience, a lot of enthusiasm, a ton of energy, and I love that about him because those are all the things you want in somebody who's helping you make the biggest purchase of potentially of your life. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm forever indebted.
So beautiful.
Yep.
Oh, yes. I
Mhm.
love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, shout out
Yep.
Jerry. I mean, he's a man of many talents, many traits. It's only
He's a
right
great realtor.
that,
He's a great realtor. If
yeah,
anybody needs one, I highly recommend. And I have sent many, many folks his way because of his patience, his diligence, and his ability to help you see what it is that you need, and to from start to finish, he gets it done. So I just love him. Good guy, and I love his wife too. She's a beautiful, beautiful soul.
he's talked plenty about. I mean, I'm single, you know, young guy, all these aspirations to be a husband, to be a father, all the vision God gave me, and we had a nice talk about his wife and just where he was
Yeah,
at and all the things. So I can only imagine. And I see on Instagram, of course, they go do their vacations and their things and whatnot. So it's like, I love love.
yeah.
Sue me, I love love. It's a good time. It's a good thing. Um, Speaking of Still Rice Farms, so listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't heard already, Still Rice Farms is a 40-acre farm in Pennsylvania. It serves as a one-stop destination for wellness information, resources, support for cancer patients in the underserved community. Again, it's a living, learning laboratory where patients engage in holistic practices such as mindfulness, body positivity, and the principles of food as medicine. Um, so without further ado, let's take them back, Dr. Mo. I want to
Right.
take them back because you brought this up a moment ago. Your origin story. How did you, first off, know you wanted to be a surgeon, a breast cancer surgeon, at the age of 6?
So I come from a family of nurses. My mother was a nurse. My grandmother was a nurse, and when you come from a family of healers, you kind of, I think, that that's probably going to be your ministry in one form or another, whether it's healing through music, healing through medicine, healing through food, whatever it is. Like you have this thing in you that says, let me help and heal the people. And my mother got sick when I was young, and she got sick very quickly, and by the time I was 7 and she was not quite 30, she passed away from ovarian cancer. So some of
Mm,
my formative years were spent trying to make somebody that I loved feel better, and
yeah.
there was something very right about that. And my grandmother, was a diabetic. Used to let me take blood sugars, and I learned how to take blood sugar at an early age. And she was a nurse, so she had a stethoscope, and so I was walking around the house probably with a stethoscope, dragging down, to my ankles for when in my early years, probably. So I knew that I would help people, and then she ended up getting breast cancer in two different instances in both breasts, and so I grew up trying to fix things, and I got a lot of trouble trying to fix things. And this is, I tell parents all the time, and I talk to students in classes, and we talk about, well, who's the nosy person? Who's the tinker? Who's the person that's always fixing broken things, right? Who's the person that'll see something, and as they call it now, it's cool to upcycle, right? But I used to get in trouble for picking apart my mother's Walkman. I think I tried to take an iron apart one time, and I don't think it worked out too well. But any piece of electronics or something that could be dismantled and looked at, and the motherboard tinkered with and tampered with, that was probably me. And I got in more trouble as a child for breaking things, but really wanting to know the inner workings of things and wanting to fix things. So sometimes I could fix it, sometimes I couldn't. But I think it called me, because I'm a fixer with hands, and that's been my mission ever since.
That is so beautiful. I don't know when you had the awareness. Maybe it was at 6, 12, 16. Who knows? Of this is the people I come from. I come from healers, right? So it's already kind of innately in me. Um, and then pair that with your curiosity on how things work and why things work, on top of the layer of the personal impact, right? Your mother,
Hmm.
um, you know,
Yeah.
may she look down on you. I know she has been, probably more proud than ever, protecting you along the way. Uh, right, and then you said your grandmother.
Hmm.
Uh, so two different instances of breast cancer. She beat it once, then again. So I can't imagine what that feels like. But for you to say, I'm gonna fix this, that is that's pretty dope. You gotta, how do you feel about that? Because that is very strong. That's very real to be like, I'm going to be the solution to this problem.
It feels good, because I thought initially that I would do. I think when I was younger, I used to read a lot about Ben Carson and anyways, brain surgery. I was fascinated with the brain, and I thought maybe I'll be a brain surgeon. And then I got into college, and I used to do. I worked in a rat lab, and we did brain surgery on mice. And I was like, yeah, maybe not brains, but cancer was always a thing that was the Rubik's cube, the mystery, the challenge to solve. And so I was pretty resolved, early on. But I mean, when I look at where I come from, my granny was a baddie. I mean, she was bad. She put herself through nursing school, raising 8 kids. She was like one of the first Black female EMTs in the city of Philadelphia. That she told us when we were growing up how she used to be, study to become an EMT, and there weren't Black women back there doing this. So I'm like, all right, then I'm in good company. With some of my outlandish decisions here, I think I'm in pretty good company looking at where I come from, and it's maybe not so far fetched after all, right?
Yeah. No, it's
Yeah.
that you go as far as your eye can see, right? As some would say. I beg to differ. But you luckily had someone right in front of
Oh, it's
you.
mine. Right, right.
Talk. Oh, we gonna talk about it, but she was right there, right, doing these things, breaking these barriers, a real trailblazer. So again, we give her flowers respectfully. Thank you, Grandma. Love you. I imagine she still with us, or is she?
No, and when she was first diagnosed with breast cancer, they told her she had 6 months to live, and she said, "Well, start making your plans." She said, "But I got to raise these girls because I have an older sister, and my older sister was before my grandmother took us in. She was a lot of the parent, and she was my very first teacher. She taught me to read. So my grandmother said I had to raise these girls, and I don't have time to die." And she did not, of course, and she advocated for herself. So the first experience of watching somebody advocate for themselves and not go against what the doctor said, but being willing to stand up and say, no, I have a purpose and a mission, and my health has to fall in line here. And then she lived another, I don't know, she got diagnosed maybe 3-4 years later, and
Yeah.
in the other breast. And then some doctor told her she had 6 months to live and start making your plans. And she said, yeah, I heard that one before. Right. And
Right.
she 25 years later of like heart failure almost at 90. So,
Mm.
she's not around, but she was the first example of true advocacy that I saw, and the power of using one's voice. And that for me was very powerful in my training and in the work that I do today, even in advocacy and how I educate patients and communities about speaking up and not just taking that doctor's word at face value. Like you're an active participant in your health.
Yeah. No. Well, she's looking down, beyond proud of you,
Hope so.
of the trails you are now blazing for many others. Your advocacy is something that I was just like, admirable. I'm like, wow, this woman she's no joke. She's about her business. I watch a lot of your interviews, so I have a lot of questions. I don't know if we're going to have the time to get to all of them. So, uh, but having role models in your life, the situations you've had when it comes to advocacy, you know, how are you practically making sure that your patients and those within the underserved communities you serve are using their voices? I'll speak from experience. I know sometimes from the different work and service I've done within the community, that's sometimes the hardest thing to do is to get people to speak up. So how can you do it? And I'm going to say successfully because, again, like you're on stage, you're asked to be in these rooms, and that's not an easy thing to do. Is to get others to say, "Hey, I need help."
It's not, but I think that you lead by example, and there's a couple different ways that I do that. And first, it's knowing, when I tell my story, that I didn't always have a voice. I wasn't always the most confident person in the room. I moved forward anyway because that's what faith dictates, that we do it anyway in spite of fear. You move forward, in some other deeper knowledge that things are going to turn out the way God said they would. And then at some point you do find your voice, especially in medicine. You have to, because people will, and Audre Lorde says it best. If you don't define who you are, you'll get crushed and crunched into other people's ideas of who you are. And so in surgery, I had to learn how to speak up and how to find my voice. As a patient, I hate being a patient. So that's hard for me to tell people who are on the other side, right? Like doctors make the worst patients, and there's no lie there. Um, but but it's by showing up in these spaces where doctors usually aren't, right? Because
Hmm.
the work that I do is almost always, it's advocates and it's people who've had this lived experience. And then there's this one doctor here who's not acting as the subject matter expert, but who's sitting and who's listening and who's asking probing questions and who's encouraging. And so there's almost this coaching that happens sometimes in the groups where I participate as a board member. And through that empowerment and through my showing up and wanting to build and bridge that trust through my listening to them, it helps them to
Hmm.
find their voice. It helps them to define and refine their stories so that they can be more powerful agents in the community. Because it's like, okay, well, tell it to me. What happened to you? And let's unpack that. And let's really let's help figure out the points where this is going to help and free somebody else. And so I'm
Right.
that sounding board, and that's kind of it's a sweet spot for me. It's something I love to do.
I can tell as you just, the energy you just gave it. Y'all will see when you watch this episode. It just jumped off the screen. And it's probably powering my laptop even more than the charger itself. Um, you had a great conversation with Jasmine Sullivan, and I'm tying this back to advocacy because she had shared that you instilled in her to ask probing questions, right? To go back, and now I think she said with her girlfriends that have had similar experiences with their mothers having breast cancer, and then themselves as young women that are aging by the day, now they know how important is the access to this information, so
It's
that
really, oh,
as
sorry,
no,
go
just I
ahead.
was gonna say, as you're having these conversations, like, is that something that you are also purposely, like, you're in your vernacular and then kind of what you want to talk about, you're highlighting is access, not just, hey, use your voice, but I'm also going to make sure that they know the access they need to the information to be as healthy as possible.
That I love that, and I love that question because the theme behind that and the deeper what's happening right now in our country and in our world is misinformation and disinformation. Right? People either aren't getting it or getting the wrong stuff. So, how do we make sure that there are trusted advisors and trusted voices and that the information we're getting is sound? And it has to do with building credibility, right?
Yep.
And I'm credible because I show up. And advocacy groups will always tell me that because I'm not beholden to any one group. Like I don't just, I only work with this one. No, if you ask me, and this is a little pathologic, let me just say that I have a problem saying no. There's a little bit of pathology there. But that notwithstanding, you work while it's day and you show up, because the more you do that, the more people understand that you are a person that they can relate to, they can listen to, they hear your story, and there's a way to do this that builds credibility. That the reason doctors aren't always believed and listened to is because they don't have any credibility, right? You show up when somebody's sick, you got your hand on a doorknob, and you tell them a bunch of things, and you talk at them, and you don't share with them. So on the subject of Jasmine Sullivan, and one of the things I love about her platform, that she really did use her platform to provide good information. And we created like some assets as part of that campaign that are still living today. Where how the
Beautiful.
conversation you have with your doctors, right? There's like a question sheet of how do you talk to your doctor about your breast health, and I love it because it's somebody that the community trusts, like her. And she was candid enough to say, you know what, I got my own stuff going on with my mom and my own health, and here's where I'm at with it. And I was candid enough to say,
Hmm.
okay, well, you need to speak up and ask your doctor about this. Don't just assume that what they say is everything, because there's a way young women, especially in this day and age, young Black women, especially, like we just saw the beatdown that happened, of a Black woman politically. Our voices are being silenced in places where they need not be silenced, like in exam
Yep.
rooms when you say, I have a problem. right?
Yeah.
I feel something. Something is wrong with my physical health, my mental health, whatever's going on. You have to be believed and listened to. And if that doctor doesn't do that, there's a way to get to that yes without being confrontational, without a lot of this, without walking out the room, without firing your doctor. There's some questions,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a relationship that you can build. And so I wanted to model that, and I wanted to help her understand her power as a patient, as a person on this earth, right? To know and tap into that power. And I hope other people do too. And but to your question originally though, providing good information and access to real, solid, truthful, useful information is something that we all need to be engaged in, because it's a lot of sham stuff going on, a lot of AI stuff going on, a lot of lies and rumors and TikTok for likes, and it's not
Uh,
the right.
preaching. You're
Yeah.
preaching. You you're good. You're great. Oh, you're and again, it's the tenacity you speak with, right? I mean, in the last 2 minutes as you answer that question, that's one thing that just truly jumped off the screen when I was watching your interviews across
Thank you.
the last, I'd say the 6 or 7 I watched. I think time frame were at least within the last 7 years. From the Atlantic, your conversation with Jasmine Sullivan, and then your co-host, you had another conversation with her. I forget who the host or the guest was, but you just jumped right in. Right, it was just so cool. I love seeing people passionate about what they do, and this caring is cool. So thank you for caring. It's a very long way of me saying thank you for caring. I can get long-winded sometimes.
Me too. Same. That's we probably not even gonna get to all your stage here, but finding that voice, and once you find it, and believing it, it translates in any setting, whether it's in the clinic, whether it's in the courtroom, whether it's in the conference centers and conference rooms. I was talking to some professional women, and I said, they asked me what's my piece of advice for them. And I said, it's the piece of advice that was given to me by a mentor, which is always remember to strut your stuff, right? You got to speak up. If you want that promotion, nobody's going to offer it to you. You have to say, hey, listen, I want this. How can I be on track for this? And what are the
Right.
specific steps I need to take? Like finding your voice, that rising tide floats all boats. It enables you to say, you know what, I'm not in a good headspace right now. I'm going to get back to you on that, partner, lover, whatever, boss, right? It enables you
Mm-hmm.
to say in your family, listen, we got some things we need to deal with. Like once you find that voice and that authentic voice, it's pretty dope, because you don't need to like grandstand anymore. You don't have to put on airs. You can just be vulnerable, authentic, and nothing will break you.
So
Yep.
good. So good. Ooh. Okay, we gotta talk about Still Rice Farms.
Bring it
We gonna
on.
we gonna pin, the motivation, just the tenacity, the realness, the finding your voice. Because there are some questions that I do have for you around how you deliver, as an advocate, time and time again. I'm going to keep saying successfully because of the research I've done. Listen, y'all, she's going to share her website and her Instagram at the end of this. Y'all better get tapped in, especially if you're in Pennsylvania. And, God forbid you have a battle of breast cancer or someone in your family does. But there's probably one person I know you should see if you're over in the PA. You know what I'm saying? So, Still Rice Farms. You're a surgeon. You're in operation day in, day out, wee hours of the night, buku hours long surgeries, I'm sure at times. Uh, why Still Rice Farms? Like, how did you arrive to Still Rice Farms, in the nonprofit and the work you do there?
Wow. It's a good question, because it's good to go back and remember. Like I said, on the heels of my fourth year being here, I said to I don't remember who I said it to. I think I said it to one of my colleagues and my good friend from high school and medical school, Dr. Jovan Adams. Shout out to Jovan. You should talk to her too. And I'll
Shout out
connect you.
Dr.
But I
Jovan.
said, I really want to, yeah, she's my sounding board and BFF. And I think I said to her, I was like, Joe, patients keep asking me these questions, like how is food medicine, and what did I recommend, what kind of diet do I recommend for them, and you know um What about, this yoga and meditation? What about, all these things that can help cancer? And I don't really know. So I did some research and I started doing the book learning about it. And I said, wouldn't it be nice if I just had a little bit of space just to, maybe have some workshops and maybe do like a writing workshop and survivorship groups or something, nothing too big, maybe just, a little bit, and have a garden, right? So we can grow some stuff and we can actually teach people how to cook it, or how to grow it, how to plant it, how to harvest it, how to tend to this land, because everybody's craving this. The everyone believes that food is medicine, but then when you ask them about it, it's like, doc, I'm gonna do this holistically. Okay, what's that mean? Well, holistic. Okay, tell me, right? And it
Right.
goes either left into like CMOS territory, or it goes down the path of, I'm going to cut out all sugar. But then what else should I do? Because cancer feeds on sugar, right? I'm like, all your cells feed on sugar. Cancer grows faster, so they eat more sugar. But every cell, every living cell in the body needs glucose. So you go cut out sugar, and then what? Well, I'm gonna go vegan. Okay, so talk to me about protein. How you gonna get protein? Well, and it's not to say all protein comes from meat, but people just didn't know, right? They didn't know. So they just said, I'm going to go holistic, and had no idea what it meant. So I said, how can we do this safely so that it really teaches people stuff that they need from an evidence-based background? It comes from a doctor. So it's like, okay, my doctor's actually believing this too and teaching me how to do this. And where can I go and learn it and figure it out too? Because I don't know it. And so I started looking for this space where, and that's why we call it a living learning laboratory, because there's enough room here that we're going to eventually, and I think, in my humble opinion, people come in, they're like, wow. I'm like, yeah, we only had that one little garden. It's modest right now, right? Because I envision this place to have classrooms, outdoor classrooms, greenhouses, like places where people can learn various techniques, learn about different types of soil, learn about hydroponics, learn about aquaponics, learn about, you know what I mean? So my vision is bigger than what we see right now, but I wanted to have a place for us to do that. So I started looking. And I started looking at 2 acres. God said bigger. 5 acres. God said dream bigger. I looked at a 10-acre farm, and it wasn't to be. And then I got here, and this was like, all right, 39 acres, and everybody rounds up to 40. And my first night here, I think I almost set the house on fire when I tried to light the fireplace because it has one of those indoor those stoves. So you have to wave the little piece of paper and the match underneath the chimney so that you teach the smoke which way to. I didn't know. I had no
Yeah.
idea. I'm a city slicker, right? I lit the fireplace, had it full of wood, and lit the thing, and the smoke came in the house. I thought I was gonna have to call the fire department. And I said, Lord, where was I? Where are my friends? What was I thinking? And I asked Jovan, I said, Joe, what was I thinking? Right? Like, we got septic systems, there's a well here. I don't know where anything is. What was I? Where are my friends? She said, no, Mo, you pray for this. You asked for it.
Hey now.
So here we are.
We are appreciative for friends like Joe. Ah, hey, she
Yeah.
had the you prayed for it, right? And
It,
I'm gonna come
careful
back
what
to something
you
that
pray for.
very careful. There's life and death in the tongue, and he answers. He's gonna answer. But you had said something the, that's very profound to me right now in my life. Right? Is vision. Like, ooh, the vision. 5 acres,
Yeah.
10 acres, and no, you're given a whole 39, and you still have the vision of we're grateful of what we have now and where we're at now. The garden is modest. I'm sure I didn't see any pictures on the website, but I did see some videos and things. I would say it's healthy. It looks good. But for you to say we want in the future classrooms here, like how powerful is it? How do you feel when you even say that? Do you realize what you just said, right?
I do, and I keep putting it out there because I don't see it yet, right? So you got to see it before you got to see it before you can see it. And so I keep saying it because at times I feel like maybe I won't do all of that. Like, this was a lot here, and a lot of this I'm still bootstrapping. This is a bootstrapping type of deal. Anybody who started a nonprofit or business knows for the first few years you doing it yourself, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
it's like, oh, let me connect you to the sales department. This is sales. Oh, hold on. Let me put you through the marketing. Hi, this is marketing. And it's you. You're all the departments. You're wearing all the hats,
Uh-huh.
right? And so we're bootstrapping this project. And it's expensive. And I'm not complaining, but I think that my dreams are bigger than my finances, are bigger than the land permits and whatever else we're going to need to do this thing. So I just keep putting it out there to make it real, because that will make it real.
Yes. It's so real. It is
Yeah.
so real. Keep putting it out there, and I'll pray over it. I'll keep putting it out there for you. Um,
Thank you.
yes,
And
you are so welcome.
in the meantime, we're using what we have, right? We got a building and it holds chairs, so we got enough chairs for 75 people, right? We have a pond, it has fish, so we're going fishing. We got woods, we're going hiking, right? We got a garden, guess what? We're gonna grow some things. And so we're not waiting for whatever that vision is and whatever those things are to come to fruition. I'm like, listen, we got enough, so we're gonna make it enough, and gratitude makes it enough. We got volunteers who are working with people, so great. Let's get going. And what we found was that not only cancer patients want this information, but everybody else does too, especially in the Black community.
Yeah,
We all want to know, what else to do besides CMOS, right? We all want to know how can food truly be medicine? Because we have grown up, and I think it's in our bloodline that food is medicine, that we should be living off the land and the land should be able to provide for our health. But we don't know how to do it. We've been disconnected from it, right?
hmm
Intentionally disconnected from our connection with the land when we were the original growers. So, we got students who come up. Camp Jill Scott comes every year. We got diabetics who come. We got people with, mental health issues come. And so there's lots of work that we're doing even outside of the cancer space, which is why our website says cancer and chronic illness now, because there's something here for everybody.
so beautiful. Ooh, so beautiful. Let's talk about the programs. You have 8
Okay.
programs.
Julie.
How does
Sounds about right.
how does someone enroll into a program, right? How the average citizen or person within the community versus a patient, like,
Gotcha.
what? I mean, how does that work?
So much of what we do now is it's experiential, it's day long, and it's organized by a group. So meaning a group of individuals who have a like-minded condition or like-minded interest will come up. And so you can
Okay,
message us on our website and say, I've got a church
okay,
group and we want to come because we have an interest in learning these things. And we can help to curate an experience for you. In 2025, we are looking at having more scheduled classes that people could actually enroll in, almost like a learning tree type of program, adult school, where if you want to learn about succulents, great. We're going to have a workshop and you're going to work with our horticultural therapist who's going to teach you how to make nice, cute succulents that look good in your house and you could give them out as gifts. Or it helps your fingers be more nimble because you got diabetes and neuropathy, or chemo has caused your digits to be stiff. And so you're going to see more ongoing programming where people
yeah,
could enroll in it, because we don't have like a steady um, uh, faculty, and we don't have staff here yet who can. There's not staffed every day. So right now we're centered around different points on the calendar for different groups. And so if your industry, for example, Johnson and Johnson reached out, and we had summer interns from J&J come, and they spent the day and they worked through different workshops learning from cancer patients how they're doing with their life as a result of some of the treatments that J&J makes, right? And so these
hmm
students now got to see the impact on people for the drugs they're making in the lab. And so it was a very interesting experience. So that's probably the best way, is that if you want to have an event here, if you want to curate something, reach out to us on our website, and then our director of programs will contact you and try to get some more information: number of people, budget, what types of events are you looking to do? You want a cooking demo, or do you want to bring your own facilitators and you just want to use the space? So we're pretty nimble right now with that.
yeah. No, very versatile. I like that. I like that, versatile in the services that you provide. Um, and then, yeah, just like I'm thinking back to seeing the website, the 8 different programs, right? You have the Fit Farm. Um, you have
That one's coming.
the
25
oh,
is coming. Yeah.
it's on its way. Okay, okay.
Hey, yeah.
Um,
Fit camp is in the summer.
excellent. Is that going to be another one where folks can have a group come and they would reach out?
What we'll do with this one is we're going to have some instructors, and we're going to actually put together a couple days worth of curriculum for folks who are considered overweight, right? You're struggling with
hmm
obesity, you're struggling with diabetes, etc. And we're going to do some intensive activities. So this will be for people could register online for this one. If you are, wanting to, we don't call them fat camps anymore, fat farm, they call them fit farms, right? And so we'll get our instructors out and set up some obstacle courses and essentially be able to do a program around that for people who are interested in intensive work for weight loss and weight management. Let's say it that way.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Fit Farm's on the way. Y'all heard it here first. Going to make it happen. Okay. You had said, not necessarily you had said, but when it comes to mind, body, and spirit, how are you really encapsulating that, not just at Still Rise Farms, but also in practice in the hospital as well, with your patients post surgery and even during the surgery?
Yep. Even before surgery, the conversation looks a lot like, after I tell you you have cancer and we go over what that means and we talk about the ways that we treat it and who's your team and what are our options. Once we finish that, it looks a lot like, okay, now talk to me about your diet. Are you sleeping?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, talk about movement. What's typical activity look like for you on a day, on a week, right? And let's start to tackle some of these things because these are some of the issues that are going to come up as you're in recovery. Everything that we do with these white coats, and I'm usually wearing my white coat, and so everything these white coats do makes you tired. So how are we going to combat that fatigue? Right.
Yeah.
And so we start to talk about that. And it's really a part of the conversation baked in before surgery. And I have a model that I call the 3M model, right? So 3M's: meals, your movement, your mindset. Let's talk about those because those are things you can control. You can't control cancer. It happened. It's here. But what can you control? How can you feel more empowered? You can feel more empowered by what you put in your mouth, right? You can feel more empowered by the thoughts that you think and the ways you reprogram the thoughts you think and by the ways that you move your body, right? So we really focus on those things as part of the healing process from the start.
The 3 M's. One more time: meal, mindset,
Meals,
movement.
movement, and mindset. That's
I'm
it.
a subscribe. I'm about it. I'm about it. Well, listen, we're gonna move into the second part of the show. It's actually called Mind, Body, and Soul. Go figure.
I
And
love
it's
it.
just a rapid, I wanted it to be a rapid fire and like a quick answer, knee jerk reaction. But of course, I'm not the only long winded person here. So I do have some fun questions for you based on the research that was done. So, um, what is okay? We talked about, your modest garden. What is your favorite vegetable?
Okay, favorite vegetable. Um, I love kale. I really do.
Really?
Mhm.
Why? Why kale? Of all the spinaches, all the green foliages.
Because it's got a little bit more integrity than spinach. You cook spinach down and it goes to mush, right? If you cook it for longer than 5 minutes, if you step away and take a phone call or go pee, your spinach is like sliding off the plate. Kale has it's got some guts to it. It's got some nerves, some integrity. I love it because you can put it in an air fryer. You can make crispy kale, right? You can take some chickpeas and you can grind them up and you can do like a nice little coating with some seasons. You can coat kale and fry it and make crispy kale chips. Like there's some fun things you can do. It's
I didn't know
hearty.
that.
It's cancer. It's got minerals, trace minerals like selenium and chromium and zinc for wound healing. So I like kale.
Okay. I have kale every day in my spinach. Or in my I have kale every day in my spinach. I have kale every day in my smoothie. I do
Nice.
a handful of kale
Mhm.
always when I get little greens in there. I still eat my vegetables,
Right.
with dinner and
That's
things.
right.
But kale is interesting. Was
Versatile.
not expecting that. Yeah, we can appreciate it. What was
I
the
do love
first
I do, but corn is starchy and it's sweet and it's but kale tops the list. Sorry, what was the
that
first?
I was gonna say that's how I know you're from the Midwest, but people from Pennsylvania are like, we're not the Midwest, and we don't have the time to get into that. And I don't want to offend you anymore because
Mid
what was
Atlantic.
the
Mid Atlantic.
Mid Atlantic? What was the first vegetable that you planted and you harvest at the farm? If you
The
can
very
think back,
first vegetable I ever planted, oh, at the farm. Okay, because I in life the very first one was a carrot. My sister and I in our little concrete jungle, we grew a carrot and it was only about this big, and we were so excited and we cut it up and sauteed it with butter and we thought we had done a thing.
you
So that was
did.
the first vegetable. But yeah, here on the farm, the first things that I planted were herbs. because I like to cook, and they are very versatile and easy to grow. And so we first planted herbs, and then the next thing was lettuce.
Hmm. I love it.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I'm all for it. I'm a cooker myself. I'm a chef by my own definition. Some folks will be like, "You got it, Joe," but
You and Jerry have that in
I love
common.
that.
Yeah. Jerry can throw
I'm
down in the kitchen. Hmm.
cooking is so therapeutic. It's just the process of it all, just putting the love into it and then sharing that with the world. Of course, sign me up. Um, have you ever thought about starting a
Same.
cookbook? I mean, you sound like you.
Yes. It's in the works. It's in the
All
works.
right.
Yes,
What
absolutely. Because when
what would
people
be the
ask me
name of the
what to eat,
cookbook?
gosh, the
Mm-hmm.
name of the cookbook. Um, that's
I've
a
been
good
dying to ask that
question.
question.
Uh, Man, I should have had an answer for this because I honestly have no idea. But I think it would be something like, I don't know. I think it would have something to do with science, right? Because I'm a scientist at heart.
Yeah,
And I
I
think it
like
would be
that.
the science of good food, because I want to make good food, but I want you to understand the science behind how it's good for you, right? We know it's going to taste good
Mm.
because I'm not going to put anything out that tastes terrible, right? But there's a science behind how it works and why it's medicine. So finding the or the medicine in your meals. Ooh, I like that one.
Ooh, okay. We might do a little son. A
Don't
little
steal it. Yep.
son. No, that's
Yep.
yours. Listen, that's
No,
you
not you. I was
got
talking
it.
to your viewers.
Oh yeah, listen, y'all. Listen, I don't know if any of y'all can cook or who knows what, but y'all better not trademark it now, Mo.
There
Trademark it
you go.
now. Um, I love that. Okay, you had this quote, and I loved it. Everyone has a gift. We can all use what we have right now, or right where we are, to leave this world a better place, better than what we found it. Let's set a
Hmm.
new paradigm. Where does that come? Like, where does that come from for you?
Someone was asking me about um, my beliefs about, I think it was my beliefs about change, or what advice would I give someone. That might have been the question. I don't remember, but I think it was like, what advice would you give somebody, who's or somebody, a young person who's fired up about changing the world. And the advice that I had was that, you know what, too often people want to wait. They say, oh, I'll wait until I have more money. I'm gonna wait till I'm retired. I'll wait till I have more time. I'm gonna wait until whatever the thing is. And we all have something that we can use right now, right? I could wait for there to be overnight accommodations and dorms and a library and a yoga studio, and I could wait for a lot of things, but we got the land, we got the people, we got the us, and we got to figure it out. Like, let's go. And so that spirit of waiting, isn't, it sometimes it'll talk you right out of your blessing or right out of your
Uh-huh.
purpose. And so I wanted to try to capture that. Like, we have a gift now, and we have something we can do now, whatever that thing is. It might not be the grandest thing you can do, but there's something you can do. Do that thing, right? Because that starts the wheels in motion. That's the new energy that we need to get things going. Because that let me just wait until I can, wait till I move to my new house, wait till I finish my degree. Get going. You want to be a
Yeah.
chef? Start cooking. You can do it while you're in culinary school if you so choose to go. But whatever your purpose is, get busy. The universe is watching. God is waiting on us.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, it's so good. It's so good. Okay, I have this little bit of scripture to share. You know where this
Get
comes
it.
from. Um, it's the harvest is white for the taking. It's not ripe for the taking. Ripe would mean it's overdue. It's past season. It's no longer good. I go to the Faith Center here in Georgia. It's in Tucker. Um, Pastor Vincent Campbell, Lady Felicia Campbell, excellent. This was a series we did back in the summer. We're like, now, it's you got to move. Right? He gave you a gift. Go get it. And just what you're talking about, obviously food. We're talking about gardening and farming. So harvest, right? And white means it's ready. It's why wait? There's plentiful. There's not enough laborers. That's the issue.
Mm-hmm.
What's your
Yeah.
purpose? What's your gift? Use that. It's there's plenty, and God just wants to see you working and have the faith so that all right, here's more, here's more, here's more. So, oh, you just got me fired up.
That's the secret though, because people say, how do you do this, the next thing? Because I'll tell you, from that 3M model, we now have an app, right? That's going to sync to wearable devices. There's a website called ournip.com. We're doing a pilot to see, can we actually teach people food is medicine and meals movement mindfulness, right? Like the more you give and the more you do, greater comes. And so, I just think that people need to think about it, and maybe not even in the biggest and grandiose of ways. Again, maybe it's just that one thing that you do, like that one neighbor, you can always bring a plate because you know she needs this, or that one thing that I'm going to, I'm going to start with my windowsill garden, and I'm just going to start with basil. I'm just going to start, because it is the starting that takes the potential energy into kinetic energy, and it makes stuff happen, and so, and life has a rhythm. And one thing farming teaches you is that everything is on a clock. There's a rhythm, right? A rhythm for growth. And when you're in that rhythm, you got to move. And so for me, that's why people are like, why are you doing all this? Why are you so, this is the rhythm, it's the moment I'm in. And I have to stay in this rhythm in order to get everything that I need to get, in order to go everywhere where this tide is going to take me. I gotta keep going. And it's not to the detriment of myself. I'm not, I may not rest all the time, but I'm rested in my spirit because I know what I'm doing. I know where it's going. And I just want to see people feel on purpose like that. Like that is possible. It is so, 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 so possible.
To him, Dr. Mo. Tell him something, Dr. Mo. Shoot. Wow, I'm gonna have to edit that sound because it's gonna pop off the screen, or when people are listening to it or watching it, who knows? Um, that's just real energy. That's love. I love. Oh yes, yes. What's your definition of good service? I gotta know.
Good service is service from the heart, service with a smile, and is without regard to the outcome. You got to be detached from it, because if you're expecting a tip, if you're expecting gratitude, if you're expecting something, that's tricky. But when you go into it for the purpose of doing a good thing for the right reason, that's its own reward. That's it right there. Everything, that's the seed. Whatever grows from it, these are things that we will never see grow. Like the good that we do in the world is stuff that we may never harvest. Somebody else will harvest it later, but that's
Yep.
okay. So
Yep.
so I just think it's doing the right thing for the right reason without respect to the outcome.
I love it. Oh, all this harvest talk and
I
just
know. Who knew?
this. So, real quick, Bible study. This week we're discussing perseverance. We have 5 different scriptures. We are in John 15, 1 through 11 right now. This talks about, more harvest and the reaping of blessings. And it's just like, what is going? Look at God. Look at us. Listen, I am just, we can talk. There is going to be a part 2. There has to. I got to get to the
Yeah,
farm. I'm going to get to the
exactly.
farm. The good
Yeah.
service, we're going to be at the farm, helping you serve. We're putting that out there because it's going to happen, and I can't wait.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this is the close to the show. I call it closing remarks. So, as it sounds, Dr. Mo, I want you to shamelessly plug away. How can the listeners, no matter where they're at in the world, because we're a global organization, how can they follow you? How can they volunteer? How can they donate? How can they support the mission of Still Rise Farms and all the incredible things you have going on, Dr. Mo? So please plug away.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for asking. First of all, you can follow us on social media. So I'm Dr. Monique Gary, Dr. Monique Gary, Gary, on social media platforms. You can follow me. I hope you follow at Still Rise Farms. All one word, Still Rise Farms with an S,
Still
because it
Rise
will be
Farms.
plural someday. Yes. So at Still Rise Farms on Instagram. You can join our mailing list. Our website is stillrisefarms.com, right? And so you join the mailing list, and then you get to find out about different events that we're having, because some people aren't on social media and they miss the wellness days and things that we're doing. But if you join our mailing list, you will be able to have access to those. If you would like to volunteer, go to our website, sign up as a volunteer. Usually those people are local, but if you are not local and you have some talent in whatever it is, organizing and putting together curriculum, we want to do more online curriculum and education. If you're an education curriculum builder, great. We want to do modules online for food as medicine so people can learn about it and then come experience it. So we're looking for volunteers of all kinds. You don't have to be a gardener. right? And you don't have to be local. We have a GoFundMe going continually to build out this garden classroom and to really we need the fencing because the deer and the original inhabitants of this land are taking everything. And it's lovely to see, but we want to keep the produce for the people who are coming. So we need fences built, right? We need volunteers to do that type of work, and we need funds because wood is expensive. So you go to our website, you'll see a donate now button. You can donate now. If you are a corporate giver, we have Still Rise Foundation. Still Rise Foundation is the nonprofit charitable arm of the farm, and you can donate in a tax deductible way. So we hope that you will, again, reach out to us, follow us, support us, repost our stuff, right? Send us information, send us likes and loves, and send us tips and recipes. Send donations, please, if you can, and donate time, talents, treasures to something that is giving every single thing to the community.
Donate time, talents, and treasures. Y'all heard
So,
Dr.Mo. You know where to find her. Instagram, Dr. Monique Gary. Very simple. Other, Still Rise Farms with the S at the end because there will be multiple farms one day, everybody. So follow, like, subscribe, share, not just this episode, but really the great things that are going on there. And of course, stillrisefarms.com. Very important. That's where you're going to get more information on what we discussed this afternoon, evening, morning, wherever this episode finds you at, to donate in a lot of different ways and just to also share, right? And to volunteer, not just physically, but also virtually, which I love that you have that option. More organizations can learn a lot from you, Dr. Mo. In that, any closing remarks, anything that's just on your heart that you want to share with our beloved family, our community, and our audience that is listening and watching?
yeah. At a time when things seem really dark, right? Again, on the heels of this election, however it turned out for you, it's very obvious that the country is very divided. Um, don't look to those things, right? Look within to what you have that you can give to the world, to what's within you that needs to be healed. There's a lot of Black women who are like, I need to just sit and I need to heal. And that's cool. That's valid, and do it so that we can then help and heal other people. So figure out what you need in this moment and get after it, right? Because chance favors the prepared mind. So we want the opportunities to come, right? We want that loan, we want that chance, we want that book deal, we want whatever it is. Prepare. Use this time to prepare yourself, your mind, your body, your spirit for whatever it is that's coming next, because this moment won't be here always. We have to make that next moment happen.
Oh, I can't wait until part 2 is going to be crazy. We're going to be on the stage. Oh, the people are going to be in uproar. Listen,
do it.
You all know who I am. Oh, it's happening. It's happening. It's happening. Like,
thank you so much.
What?
Thank you for letting me have this platform and this time with you. It's been sacred and special, and I've enjoyed it so much.
I'm so glad. I am so honored. I am so grateful. Yes. Thank you for saying yes. Thank you for being here. Again, to our loyal community, those that continue to come, thank you. Those that join us for the first time, thank you as well. Again, we would not be where we're at today. I know it's just me for now, but I say we because we are an organization global that is going to grow, and we're going to touch every corner of the world. We want to continue to bring excellent stories, uplift organizations such as Still Rise Farms, and the incredible people such as Dr.Mo that are behind and in front of proactively and aggressively with such passion and fervor. So thank you again. I love you all. Your hosts, dearly, foreverly, Joseph Dunham, Joe D. However you want to, reach out to me. Again, the Good Service Podcast on Instagram. The Facebook is on its way. This show will be live on YouTube, so the channel is up. LinkedIn, we're there. Get at us, right? We would love to know who in your community is doing great things and how they're doing it, and give them their flowers. Because as Dr. Mo said, right, this is a dark time. We live in such a crazy world. We need these stories. We need to know about these things going on. And we are your people to share those stories and uplift those folks. So I love you all. Be well, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Good Service Podcast.
Take care.